All right, everyone, look, we know Arsenal lost today against West Ham. Let me just start by saying I'm all over the place right now. I've slept 4 hours in the last 2 days, landed in Melbourne. Not that any of you kind of really need to know about that, but my point is, if I say stuff that's a bit hyperbolic, a bit untrue, I'm a bit sleep deprived. I'm not feeling my absolute fairest about Arsenal. Although having said that, I'm also in this kind of sense of like, are we that surprised? I feel like a hypocrite when I say that. I feel like a hypocrite when I say, are we surprised that Arsenal put up a result like this? Because I'm the one who keeps saying don't give up. I'm the one who keeps saying that there's still hope there to keep trying. And the reason I say it is because for me, like being a football fan, and I'm not trying to police how anyone should be a football fan. Everyone do it your way. Genuinely do it your way. There's things I don't care about when it comes to Arsenal that I probably should care about more. And there's things I care about more than maybe other people would care about. And I will go into every game kind of hoping that we win and then that it's a win that takes us somewhere. It's becoming very, very difficult to see these Arsenal performances and not just become more and more apathetic to them. This was a result, this was a game against West Ham where had we won, and yes, we knew the context of maybe Mourinho starting up front and the lack of firepower and actually even with all the players fit, we've kind of struggled for creating chances. So we knew all that context, but I still had it in my mind. Close that gap to maybe 5 points if we win. And if Liverpool don't win at the Etihad, you've got a game in hand to make this title race really interesting. And we blew that opportunity. Now, I watched from about the 25th minute up to full time. So a huge shout out to Emirates. First time I've flown Emirates. And it was great. And they showed live Premier League football. So it low-key ruined my flight. It also chopped off about 4-5 hours because I was able to watch that. So there we go. It was great. Heavily recommend if you ever get the opportunity to. Anyway, so I'm watching on the plane. And I'm having to just like swear to myself. I'm just like really quietly like, there are people trying to sleep. There are people trying to like sleep and get, some good shut-eye before we land in Melbourne. And there was me just kind of keeping it all to myself because this was an incredibly frustrating and aggravating performance. Sometimes you leave an Arsenal game feeling like, they were just a bit shit today. Sometimes you leave it going, they tried, they're unlucky, you're frustrated because we didn't win, but we tried. And then other times, and this has really been the key to this season, other times you just go, why do we still have the same problems? Why, regardless of the lack of signings, which of course is a big thing, we'll chat about that. Why do we keep stumbling at the exact same hurdle? Why have we, after 5-6 years of Mikel Arteta, not found a single solution to teams that play a mid-block, teams that play a back five with wing-backs, teams that shut out our wingers, teams that deny us any access centrally? Why have we not been able to find any sort of solution over many years? And that's before the injuries too, which is why it's not just about the injuries. Now let's go to the game in a little bit more detail. Now, Mikel Mourinho got the start up front. I have to say I was surprised by this. I wasn't surprised by Calafiori starting. We'll talk about Calafiori in a sec because I'm really disappointed by that performance from him, especially on the goal, but we'll go into that. I was saying, and this is why I talk about, sound like a hypocrite, and just because I explain something doesn't mean I'm justifying it. So I did a video on AFTV talking about Mourinho and why, actually, as a number 9 for Arsenal, it's not that surprising, looks okay. To be honest, I don't think he did terribly in this game. But I was saying, well, from what I watched anyway, but I was saying in the previews, when it comes down to it, we're still talking about trying to win a title with Mikel Mourinho up front. Whether he's a bit better in that position than we thought or not, that is still the task that we've given ourselves. And that's criminal. That is just absolutely not good enough for the level we want to be at. I was surprised that Arteta went with him. I thought he'd use him as another option off the bench and actually stick with Trossard and Sterling because we have one game of evidence. In fact, we have 20 minutes of evidence that Mourinho could do something up front. And, okay, I understand Sterling has been appalling for us, but he's still got years and years and years of a potential he has got to. And you think surely some good coaching, some confidence and a vote of confidence or something might drag that out of Sterling. But I get it. I wasn't happy with either option. So I wasn't disappointed he went with Mourinho. I was just a bit surprised he went with him. And I also think that kind of meant that we didn't really have much on the bench. If we were going to bring on like a target man or someone who was going to give defenders a different problem like he did against Leicester. Now, as the game went on, the chance creation's poor. We're not very good at playing through the middle. The combinations are bad. And this is where I need to start talking about Martin Odegaard. I felt for a while this season that Erdegaard's been way off it. I think when he came straight back from his injury, I think he had almost an immediate impact for about 2-3 games, but very quickly fell away from that standard. He hit in that, for example, Sporting game away, West Ham game away, Forest at home in the 3-0 win. He kind of quickly fell off that. It's like he came back with a buzz and it was a good injection for the team. Chelsea away, I thought he was good at the bridge. But it's been so poor from him since. And I've been saying it's form. I've been saying it's a lack of tactical diversity, and that he himself hasn't really kind of been putting himself in the middle of it and getting really in the thick of it. But I'm now starting to move away from it's just bad form to maybe he's just been a little bit found out. Now, I don't think Arteta helps tactically. I think you always have to shove him in that right 8. Could you get him in the 10? Could you get him in the left 8? Could you get him a little bit close to goal? But then I also look at Erdegaard and I go, I don't think you want to be in those areas. And I really don't like using this word because it feels really personal. And this is what I mean. I'm 4 hours sleep in the last 2 days, and I might regret saying this. But the performances in games like this, of which we've had a few, they feel a bit cowardly from Erdegaard. I thought that in the St James's Park, I think both St James, no, he didn't play in the first St James's Park game. The most recent St James's Park game, I felt in other games where we've come up against a low block and we struggle. And I certainly, like against Man United, for example, even though we actually created a lot of chances, I was still disappointed. But I definitely felt that this was quite a cowardly performance from Martin Ødegaard. And when I say cowardly, I've got no doubt he's trying. I don't think he comes off the pitch going, oh, I've conned them, I've barely tried, but whatever. But I don't think he realises that, and look, who am I to tell Martin Ødegaard, right? And Arteta will be telling him too, or at least you'd think he would be. You could say that a playmaker like him should go with the spaces so he's got more time to make things happen. But I think you want your best player sometimes in the thick of it. Where there are 2-3 players, receive the ball. I've talked about this before. Receive the ball with players around you. Bam, turn. Take 2-3 players out the game. Drive past them. And suddenly, what was 2 banks of 4 has suddenly actually become a back 4 that you're running at now. Do something that just makes a space that wasn't there. And I feel he's constantly moving to where the space is, rather than going into a crowded area and making the space by creating it with a bit of magic. He just wants to find where the space is already. But often that will be the areas that the opposition are going, yeah, we'll let you have that. And then they've crowded out and defended the other areas of the pitch that they are, more worried about Arsenal being a threat from. So we play the ball wide a lot, lots of combinations, and, very little actual threat. And I think Ødegaard has to be, until we sign someone else who can also add this to the team, I think Ødegaard's got to be that thrust in midfield, that guy who will go, yeah, it's tight, it's difficult, give me the ball, I will make a space, I'll open something up. And he doesn't do that enough for me. Now, the thing is, I've talked loads about Ødegaard here. We can talk about Calafiori. His one-on-one defending has been horrible. I think he's been quite good at intercepting and reading the game. I think he's been quite good at driving with the ball. In fact, he's impressed me more going forward than I thought he would. I thought he was going to be a really solid defensive option. But I don't think he looks any better defensively than Kiwior necessarily. Maybe in some of the, like I said, interceptions, he's got a really kind of good tackling technique, quite similar to Declan Rice. But one-on-one, Wan-Bissaka did him so easy, and we've seen that quite a few times this season. I'm a fan of Calafiori, but not good enough. Lewis Skelly comes on at left-back, and then Arteta's subs were a bit strange. Declan Rice wasn't at it. Was that Arteta making a point, taking him off? Partey, I thought, was having a mixed game. But you got Zinchenko in midfield. I thought Zinchenko tried, to be fair. I'm not really too mad at him. No complaints on the Lewis Skelly red card. And look, while I think for 3 red cards this season, we can count ourselves really unfortunate, that's ultimately 5 red cards in a Premier League campaign. You can say we've been unlucky, and I definitely think we have been for 3 of them in particular. You also go, are we playing that game on the edge and sometimes inviting a bad decision? Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate there. I still think the Trossard, Rice and Lewis Skelly at Wolves red cards are a joke. No complaints about this one, and VAR was used really well in that situation. And I think, was it Craig Pawson, the referee? He got it right in the end, so no complaints there. I also thought Rice was really poor tracking the Jarrod Bowen run. I mean, we talk about Calafiori on the goal. Ødegaard gives the ball away. And then, and I honestly mean this. I can't prove this in any way, but I was on the plane. I saw Odegaard give the ball away like that. He should have rolled the ball wide to either Timber or Waneri. I think it was Waneri, but he tried an inside pass to Timber that was never really on. And he was huffing and puffing and looking busy and, you know, shimmying and all that, but actually just trying really kind of poor passes. And when he gave that ball away, I went, brilliant. You know, now we've got to defend this transition just before half time. And the minute they scored, look, Calafiori-Pool and Rice wasn't tracking Bowen well enough at all. But it's just a catalogue of errors from players you expect to do better. Look, I'm gonna make one vow here now. I'm not going to talk about the title race again. I still believe that the players should play for every point and fight to get as many as possible and win as many games as possible. But I'm just not going to mention it again. Yeah, Liverpool might have shown the odd vulnerability, but it's like I said in my video post the draw they had against Villa. Have we shown anything to kind of make them nervous? They'll be so relaxed going to that game at the Etihad now because we didn't do our job. And all season that's been the case. Arsenal not doing anything to actually put the pressure on Liverpool. So yeah, disappointing. I think Mikel Arteta, the board for not doing anything in the window. And Arteta's part of that too, by the way. Arteta doesn't get away with that. I know he wanted a player, but I've got no doubt he would have said no to a handful of players that could have helped as well. The players, everyone, the Cronkies, everyone, I think, can just hang their heads in shame for what is looking like it's going to be a really sad end to the second half of the season. And then that puts immense pressure. It puts immense pressure on the summer window. But also, I think Arsenal fans, and I can't speak for everyone, so I'll speak for myself, I just get the feeling that Arsenal fans are starting to check out a little bit. They're starting to just go, is this maybe as far as this project goes? And when you don't see any investment in the summer and January, you go, how can we have hope when the club appear to not have ambition? Really poor defeat today. West Ham deserved it. Graham Potter always does a job on us at the Emirates. And yeah, he's going to do good things at West Ham. They deserved it. They defended magnificently. And we were so poor on the day. And I could talk about more players, but let's just leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Sorry I came out a bit late, this match report. I think for the next 3 weeks, they will come out a little bit later. But I will do a reaction to every game on this channel. And hopefully try to see, people in Melbourne, Sydney, catching the Arsenal game. That would be cool. Let me know in the comment section below if you are in Melbourne or Sydney and you've got some advice on where you're watching some of these games. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Season feels like it's hanging by a string, and that string is a competition in Europe that we haven't really got a history to be proud of with. So let's see. On to the next.